Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk some more about Connections Academy. So my biggest viewed video is about my review as a parent of Connections Academy. And I get a ton of questions about what it's like as a student. And then I also have a lot of students who comment on there. So I guess it was 2 days ago, I posted a question and said, okay, so what questions do you have for students? Or a former student at Connections Academy, and I thought this morning we would answer them. This is Mars, and she's my 14-year-old daughter, who did Connections Academy for a short amount of time before we pulled her out to go back to homeschooling. And the questions that you guys had were really good. So, what am I doing? I'm going to open up my phone and we'll pull up the first question. This phone takes forever. Okay. So you have to speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Albums. Screenshots. Okay. So the very first question was, were you excited about trying Connections Academy?
At first I was, because it was new to me and I didn't know what was going to happen.
And before that, we had been homeschooling 3rd through 7th grade. So she was used to being at home. Okay, what were the teachers like?
They were just regular people. They had a little bit of motivation, but they weren't, you can tell they weren't just enthusiastic about their job.
Did you have a lot of interaction with teachers?
Yes, ma'am, through asking questions and needing help with certain work.
Now, I'll say here as a parent, like, I had little to no interaction with teachers unless I reached out to them. And by the time I reached out to them, it was because we were having problems. And it was already, like, too late for them to help at that point. Right? What was your experience like in live classes?
It was basically, we get into the room and the teacher would talk and then we'd have questions and then sometimes they would give us like work or tell us certain things about projects or certain lessons that were coming up. But other than that, it was just sitting there listening to the teacher talk and taking notes sometimes.
Did you find that the lessons you were doing, like the automated online stuff, matched what the teacher was teaching?
Sometimes.
But it wasn't like in regular school where teacher teaches about 2 plus 2 and then the homework is about 12 times 12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think that was because they give you lessons like each day, and if you fall behind, it's very hard to get back to where you're supposed to be. And the teachers, they just go by the date on where you would be if you were where you're supposed to be.
Makes sense. Did you ever feel overwhelmed as a student at Connections Academy?
I did. Again, back to when I got behind. They don't stop giving you lessons when you're behind. The lessons keep piling up once you're behind. And it also doesn't help if you have to change a class like halfway through the semester or whatever you want to call it. Because then you have to go back and do weeks worth of work to get caught up.
Yep. And I want to preface what she said, or I want to say this with hers, like, the busy work that we had with Connections Academy is what threw us off. Don't misunderstand though, Mary had been doing Homeschool Abeka before this, and she had been completing, like, Abeka tells you on day 1 of homeschool, these are the lessons you do. On day 2, this is what you do. Well, we found that if she did one day's lessons, she was like going through it fast. So most days, she would do 2 days of schoolwork and still be done in 5 hours. around lunch every day. So it wasn't that she wasn't used to doing the schoolwork, because she could do that very easily. It was the amount of schoolwork. And at first, my husband and I thought that she was slacking. Like, we thought that she just didn't want to do it. And she was at the age, I guess you were 11? She was 11, so she was at this age, she was...
Between 11 and 12.
Yep. She, at the time, had already skipped one grade. She hadn't actually skipped the grade, but she was a grade ahead of where her age group should be. And it was frustrating because we just get notifications like, Mary has 14 lessons to go to be caught up. Mary has 36 lessons to go. Mary has 84 lessons to go. And then they changed one of her classes because the teacher had too many students. And it didn't like reset her courses. It then went back and said she had like 230 lessons to go. It was crazy. And she was at one point doing school 7 days a week and completing stuff regularly. And this is where we went, wait a minute, why is this not getting done? And the teacher was like, when I finally got in touch with someone, they're like, oh, well, we can just reset it so she doesn't have any lessons due. Oh, tell a story about the live class where the teacher left.
Okay, so there was a live class. It was science. I don't remember the teacher's name. He had left the whiteboard open on the screen, and he was gone for like 2 minutes, because I don't remember why, but he was gone, and one of the students was being stupid and wrote some stuff on the board.
It bothered me that we had kids with webcams being left in online chat rooms with no supervision. Like, that was a real stressor for me. Let's see, what else did you guys ask? How was the work, this is right what we were talking about, how was the workload compared to homeschooling?
It was very, very overwhelming, because each lesson you'd have 2 to 3 like quizzes or mini quizzes or whatever they were, and then sometimes you would have bookwork, and I didn't think the bookwork made sense to me because this is an online class.
And the bookwork didn't match the online work.
Most of the time it didn't.
I was in a Facebook group with several other parents of the Alabama homeschool, or Alabama Connections Academy parents. And one of the parents sat down with the textbook, because they are issued textbooks, and had 2 computers open. She had one computer open with all of the material that was provided throughout this series of lessons, and then she had the test open. And she found that it was like, you could not find all of the answers to all of the questions in what you were given.
And if you could, they were very buried.
Yeah. Yeah, it took a long time to find the answers, which is understandable if it's a critical thinking process, but this was work that was very mundane. I think you had like an art class or a health class or something.
I did not have a health class. I had an art class, math, history, and science.
It was horrible. Okay. But, and I'll say this, like, we were upset over the grades. And we didn't know what the situation was, because when Mary was doing homeschool, don't get me wrong, Mary is not always the biggest fan of, let me do the extra work. We like bare minimum sometimes. But her grades still showed that she knew what she was talking about. Mary has always been very articulate for her age. And for the most part, converses with adults on a pretty regular basis. Yet we go back into this considered public school, and she's so overwhelmed that she's emotional. We start having behavior issues, and she obviously can't complete this work. And we're confused because Becca is saying she should be in the 8th grade, and this is 8th grade work, and she can't complete it. Well, I start looking at some of the work, and it's simple stuff. It's just the amount of busy work that went with it that was insane. And just to kind of validate what I was saying, after finishing her 8th grade online, we decided to enroll her back in public school for her high school experience. And she tested as a high school senior when they tested to put her into classes at 13 years old. Actually, she was 12 at 12 years old. So we're still dealing with a gifted student, but Connections Academy just was not flexible enough to be able to help. Okay. So, let's see. If you had to leave public school today, would you rather do Connections Academy or Abeka homeschooling?
Oh, Abeka.
What did you like about Abeka?
I like Abeka because sometimes it'd be a little bit more work than I would like to do. But, it's very well paced. The instructions most of the time are very forward. They're like, okay, this is what you gotta do. Sometimes I would need help, but that was usually with instructions and processing, what they want to need to do. Or
you've always been a very independent student. You know what I mean? Mary can, for the most part, accept math. She doesn't really like math.
I'm not good.
This is a student that has learned instruments, she learned how to play the alto sax on her own, the tenor sax on her own, and is now learning another instrument. Plus, she plays the clarinet. So, she's a kid that can read her science chapter and then be like, okay, well, this is this, and this. And she doesn't really need a lot of lecture. She picks up on it pretty fast. So, she always did her Becca schoolwork pretty independent. Which was, again... we have a visitor. Which was, again, confusing when we didn't understand why she couldn't complete this other schoolwork, the Connections Academy schoolwork. Any warnings that you would give parents who were interested in Connections Academy?
Just sit, at least for a little bit during each lesson, sit down and read the material. Be like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is the little thing that you're not going to think about. Here's how I would go about doing it. Things like that.
If you're just dead set on trying Connections, realize that it's not just for you, not just for your student. You're going to have to put some work into it too. You're going to have to help them through it. It's not an easy navigation from start to finish. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to stop here for the day. Maybe we will have more questions later on about dealing with gifted students and public school systems. I get a lot of questions about how did I get the public school system to let you skip grades? A lot of questions.
Oh.
Don't put your leg down. Nobody wants to see that.